We are so glad you're here. As a nurse coach for RCP, you're going to have the opportunity to make a great impact on the overall health and well-being of your patients. For our purposes, we're going to be focusing on chronic illness. We're not talking about broken legs, heart attacks, accidents, burst appendix, etc. The care that you will provide as a nurse coach for RCP is for patients with a chronic illness, such as diabetes, heart disease, lung disease, cancer, etc. In the next few minutes, you'll see how our new proactive care model for treating patients with chronic disease differs from the conventional medicine model for treatment of the same, and how it will impact the outcomes for your patients. In conventional medicine, or traditional medicine as it's sometimes referred to, all care is centered on the provider and their time schedule. The chronic disease is managed, with the goal being to slow down its progression. Its symptoms are suppressed by the use of drugs. The only time the patient engages with their provider is at their 3 to 6 month follow-up visits, or in the event that something bad happens to them. This is known as the episodic model of healthcare. And here's the key to this model. The very well-trained provider gives good, sound, wise counsel to the patient. They impart to the patient all the knowledge they have about what's going on with them and how to fix it. They assume that the knowledge of the problem and the knowledge of how to fix it will be enough to get the patient to change their behaviors and therefore change the trajectory of their health. Sadly, we found this type of treatment approach with chronic illness to be lacking in good patient outcomes. Enter you, the RCP nurse coach. Here, we put the patient front and center. The outcomes are still up to the patient, but with RCP, they have help from you, their nurse coach. In our new proactive medicine approach, we promote a healthy patient. We prevent disease, and we reverse the effects of chronic disease by helping the patient to change the behaviors that led to it in the first place. A lot of this is caused by our societal changes. In the early 1900s, most of our society was agriculturally based. People were self-employed. They owned farms. They were artisans. Translation, they moved their bodies. They worked with their hands. Their daily work was physical. The things that they died from back then were infectious diseases, things like typhoid fever, pneumonia, and tuberculosis. They didn't have antibiotics back then. Today, we're a service-based culture. We sit in front of a screen all day. We don't move. What's the outcome of that? Sitting too much combined with a bad diet leads to obesity and all kinds of chronic disease. As a nurse coach with RCP, your assumption will be that your patient needs support from you in order to change their behaviors and reverse the effects of their chronic disease. We work in tandem with their primary care providers who give the diagnosis and treatment options. Then we come in armed with our toolkit of devices, menus and meal plans, videos, handouts, educational links, etc. And we engage with the patient on a more regular basis to help them become their own change agent. We educate the patients on our collaborative care model and help them understand that their involvement is crucial to the success of their health care. Reversing the effects of or preventing chronic disease is far more involved than taking a pill and going on about your business. Here's one example. One of our new nurse coaches was formerly a nurse at an HIV/AIDS clinic. Several of her patients also had diabetes. She said that treating the HIV was actually easier and had better outcomes because they just took a pill and the disease was managed. However, for diabetes, behaviors had to change, and getting agreement and involvement from the patient was sometimes lacking. We know that our patients want to feel good, live a long life, avoid chronic disease, and have health care that is affordable, convenient, and personal. Our collaborative care model will lead to that if the patient agrees to work with you to attain the desired outcomes. Here's how we do this. You ask the patient questions centered around their lifestyle choices, and we define lifestyle as this: diet, physical activity, sleep, and social environment. You'll ask them questions like, what did you have to eat today for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack? Why did you eat that? We do this reassuring them that we're not judging. We're just trying to discover habits to see where we could offer alternative ideas or options. Some patients will be upfront and engaged in this process. Others, you'll have to work a little more to get them to participate. If you keep a smile on your face, remain patient, and don't push, you'll most likely garner the information you need to help. What did you do for exercise today? What kinds of non-exercise activity did you do? Garden? Clean house? Organize the garage? Here you're simply trying to gauge the amount of movement in their day so you can make recommendations. When do you go to bed? Do you wake up feeling refreshed? Do you sleep through the night? Sleep is critical for a sound mind and body. We have all kinds of resources that you can share with your patients if they're lacking in good quality sleep. And finally, what's your social life like? What do you do for fun? Do you have any leisure activities? COVID has nearly stopped the social life of many people, and engagement with people is so important for our mental and physical well-being. Do you see how the patient is the center of their own treatment? Their truthful answers, met with your knowledge as a nurse and RCP's resources, will make a difference for them, again, if they choose to partner with you and hold up their end. You will connect with your patients via a phone call, a text, or a video call. You'll know which communication method is best for each patient, and you may use all three depending on what's going on any given day. We also have classes and group visits that will allow your patients to connect with others that are going through the same thing. This group interaction can serve as a real social boost for your patients. And very soon you'll have a new tool in your kit, an activity band. This is similar to a Fitbit, but much, much more. It's worn by the patient, and you'll gain all kinds of insights. Number of steps taken, how much they sat, what their heart rate is, and how much it changed over the course of the day, which will let you know if they were active or not. It will also monitor and report on their quality of sleep. This activity band is still in development, but coming soon. As a remote care nurse, you'll have access to patients' vital signs every time you meet with them. Each patient has several devices at home, like a glucometer, a pulse oximeter, a blood pressure monitor, a spirometer, and maybe other devices depending on their diagnosis. All of these hard data readings will paint a picture for you of where they are that day and how things are progressing. It's your objective to see decreasing blood pressure numbers, decreasing blood sugar numbers, and decreasing weight. All of this high-tech stuff creates high-touch opportunities for you and your patient, and that is a very good thing for patient outcomes. Now, we know that any time there's a paradigm shift, such as we're creating here, moving from the traditional or conventional medicine model to the proactive and collaborative care model for patients with chronic disease, there will be those that get it immediately, and those that will take more time to want to change from the way we've always done things. There's a very famous quote by German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer that says this: "All truth passes through three stages. First, it's ridiculed. Second, it's violently opposed. Third, it's accepted as being self-evident." If you encounter resistance to the new healthcare model we have here, just meet it with a smile, patience, and kindness. Give them time. Eventually, they'll work through their own thought processes and have buy-in, especially when they begin to see the good outcomes from our patients. Then they'll think it's malpractice to not do what we're doing. Sometimes being bleeding edge takes a bit of courage, but when you know you're doing what's right for your patient, that part is easy. Your heart, your time, and your desire to make a difference in people's lives makes you a phenomenal nurse coach. We are so glad to have you on board with us here at RCP. Please report back to your trainer, and they'll get you started on the next training module. Have a great rest of your day.